Beauty to me is not just external beauty. Beauty to me is a harmony within the facial structures, within your teeth, with your eyes, with your cheek, with your hair, as well as with your soul and quality of life. So, beauty is not something that's just perceived by someone's eyes, it is something that is lived by a person.
Welcome to the Beauty Talk podcast, where we feature how the best medical practitioners help their patients to look better, younger, and healthier. Now, enjoy the show, and here's your host.
Daniel Gao here. I'm the host of Beauty Talk. We feature the top medical practitioners in health and beauty, both inside and out. I have Dr. Kanchi Shah, a board-certified orthodontist who has been in practice for 16 years, a decade as a general dentist, and then as an orthodontic specialist. She has 2 patents under her name, runs her own practice in the heart of Philadelphia, and helps patients of all age groups from 5 to 75 achieve the smile of their dreams with braces and aligners. Dr. Shah, welcome and glad to have you here.
Thank you, Daniel.
Yeah, so let's dive right into it. I guess let's start from the very beginning. How did you first get interested in the medical field?
As a child, when I was growing up, I was always fascinated by the human body. Those were things that I used to love, be curious about. And interestingly, I always wanted to become a dentist. So, smile was more attractive to me than the human body. The first time when I was traveling in a train with my parents, I met a passenger and I looked at a gold tooth back in the day, and I'm like, that's not your real tooth. And he told me about how he got a fake tooth because he was going to lose his tooth. And that was very fascinating. And I guess I've always noticed people's smiles. So that was always something that was very close to my heart, passionate to just give people confidence when they smile.
Okay, so you already knew from the beginning you wanted to be a dentist.
Just yes.
Okay, now this led you to start up your own practice, Art of Smile. So what led you to decide to start your own practice?
When I started practicing in America, I saw that a lot of patient care gets dictated by insurance. This is what insurance is going to cover. This is what insurance is not going to cover. When I'm presenting treatment plans, I wanted to build my practice where I'm not judging a person by their insurance coverage. I wanted to make the treatment plan that is best suitable for that patient, have the freedom to use the best technology that's out there to give them that sophisticated, customized treatment plan to achieve what they want to achieve without compromising.
Okay, got it. Now, I want to start diving into some of the treatments that you provide. Now, I know you do the orthodontic side, also the general dentistry side, but I want to focus a little bit more on airway-focused orthodontics. Because when I think about dentistry, I don't necessarily think about airway focus. I just think, oh, it's just my teeth and that's it. So, how does orthodontics play a role in airway?
Um, Recently, there has been a lot of literature out there which has connected our mouth to our sleep. And we've known since a long time that, yes, our mouth is the gateway to a lot of systemic diseases. We knew about heart conditions that could happen if your gums were not clean. But now we also know that chronic sleep apnea can be something that is caused because your mouth was not developed when you were growing. So there is an obstructive sleep apnea diagnosis, which could happen at any age, which is basically an obstruction, a physical structural obstruction in your airway. And our airway is nose, mouth, and throat, going down to lungs. So if that area is underdeveloped and has structural obstructions, people can get sleep apnea. That's when we started studying a lot about it. There's enough literature today to support that, we should intervene at an early age so that people can sleep better and people can have a better quality of life. So it's not just improving smiles, it's also improving quality of life.
Oh, interesting. So if someone has sleep apnea, how often would you say the issue is something related to their teeth where it could be fixed with orthodontics?
If someone has sleep apnea, there are a lot of different kinds of sleep apnea, and it is also multifactorial. So as far
Mhm.
as they have obstructive sleep apnea, meaning the obstruction is coming in the airway, those are the patients that could get help by orthodontics. We could structurally expand their jaws, surgically advance their jaws if it was adult, or if they were child, we could give them growth appliances to enhance the growth in the right direction so that they have enough space for their tongue to fit and they have enough space in their nasal airway to breathe properly through their nose and not through their mouth.
Okay. Because when I think about sleep apnea, I think about like in adults, maybe in overweight adults, but I never really thought about it in children. So in
Mhm.
children, if they're suffering from some type of airway blocked condition, is it, I guess, what's going to be like the main causes of that? And you kind of you talked about growth, like maybe their I guess mouth or teeth is underdeveloped. Is that kind of the main case you see?
Main case is that their mouth and teeth is underdeveloped. A lot of kids present with snoring at nighttime. So if parents notice that, my child is snoring, snoring for a child is not a normal presentation.
Mm,
So, and snoring is happening because there is obstruction while they're breathing when they're supine.
mm,
So that obstruction could be relieved from orthodontic intervention. Snoring, however, is just one of the symptoms of sleep apnea. It is usually multifactorial, so they could have enlarged adenoids and tonsils. They could have high arched palate. They could have open mouth posture, long, narrow faces, high vaulted palate, cross bites, not enough room for the tongue to fit to the roof of the mouth, which also helps in developing the floor of the nose. So, a lot of those factors together dispose a child to sleep apnea symptoms.
okay. So you talked about being underdeveloped. So what would you go, I guess, what would you do if they're underdeveloped? Because I'm thinking in my mind, like, oh, it's underdeveloped. So maybe like it just hasn't grown out. So how do you use orthodontics to help them, I guess, grow out their teeth or their mouth?
That's a very good question. Um, when a child is developing, we can put appliances such as expanders, and expanders can help develop the jaws in the transverse direction.
Hmm.
And expanders could be for both upper jaw as well as lower jaw, more commonly for the upper jaw. And when we are looking at any discrepancy in the front back, anterior posterior position, we use something called as face mask, which also helps pull the jaws forward
Hmm.
and correct their directional growth in anterior posterior direction. So we are looking at growth in three-dimensional space, anterior, posterior, transverse, and sagittal.
Okay. Now, when you talk about growth and even with them being underdeveloped, does underdeveloped always mean that it's smaller and you need to expand it out? Or could underdeveloped mean it's just it wasn't going in the right directions, but the size itself is okay?
Most cases, we are looking at size and teeth discrepancy. So there is crowding or underdeveloped, meaning the size of the jaws is small. However, there is definitely certain group of kids or even adults who have one jaw that is normal while the other is underdeveloped. So it not necessarily means both jaws. It could be a discrepancy in just one jaw or both jaws.
Okay, got it. Now, you also offer something called orthodontic jaw surgery. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly.
That's right.
I've never heard of that before. What is that?
Orthodontic surgery is prepping patients for jaw surgery, and those jaw surgeries could be planned for facial deformity if their jaws are completely misaligned, if they have an open bite and they cannot bite into pizza, and they're an adult patient, if they have cross bites, it could again be, front cross bite like an underbite, or it could be a severe overjet. All of these malocclusions can be corrected with braces and aligners to a certain extent. When the severity increases, it needs surgical intervention, which means orthodontic surgery. So we work hand in hand with best oral surgeons in Philadelphia, partner with Penn Medicine, Jefferson, even Temple to prep a lot of our patients for the orthodontic surgery.
Mhm. Okay. So, and you mentioned that when these situations occur, very often braces, I think braces and aligners can help with these things. But when they get to this point where they need jaw surgery, is it just because there was a small issue and they never addressed it and it just got worse and worse and worse and worse until it just things broke down? Or is it kind of more often where they use the braces and aligners, but it's just not enough for the condition that's like is happening to them?
So that's also a very good question. So a lot of patients who are in need of orthodontic surgery are adult patients. Most of those surgeries could have been prevented if they had some kind of intervention as a child.
Mm,
And that intervention, we are talking at the age of 6 and 7.
mm,
By age 7, a child should have had at least one visit with an orthodontist,
mm,
not with their general dentist, not with their pediatric dentist. Their first visit with an orthodontist should be by age 7 to evaluate and to prevent a lot of these problems that could cause severe structural problems down the line.
mm. Okay. So I guess to make it simple, what's the difference between a regular general dentist and an orthodont? Because I would imagine that let's say a parent has a kid, like they don't know much about dentistry. Oh, just I've gone to the dentist my whole life and I don't really know the difference between a dentist and an orthodontist. Why do I need to bring my kid to an orthodontist? I guess what's the main differences between the two? Why can't my general dentist tell me the stuff that an orthodontist would tell me?
Absolutely, absolutely. Um, Dentistry has a lot of specialties after general dentistry. So general dentists look at the health of your teeth, health of your gums, make sure, our kids are cavity free, they get the regular cleanings. If there is any crowns or bridges, they could do that to a certain extent. Anything that relates to growth and development is then seen by pediatric dentists. And again, pediatric dentist looks at growth and development from musculoskeletal point of view, habits, stuff like that. But orthodontists specialize in just growth and development of the jaws and facial development.
Mm,
So for that, for making sure the child has a harmonious face, it's important for them to be evaluated by this kind of specialist who, after being a general dentist, has studied for another 3 years additional on top of that. Um, orthodontist has done 3 years of residency after general dentistry, just studying the growth and development of jaws and face.
mm. Okay. Now, when it comes to these different types of treatments, I'm sure you've heard a lot of myths or misconceptions from your patients or just kind of people. What would you say some of the most common myths and misconceptions you've heard?
One of the most common misconception I've heard is parents or even friends thinking that my child is too young. I don't want to start treatment on my 5-year-old. Well, 90% of our facial growth and development is finished by age 7.
Hmm.
Brain
Wow.
development, brain reaches near adult size, which is 90% of brain development happens between the age of 6 and 7. So is the structural development. The child is in their peak growth at the age of 6 to 7 for their jaws. So if there was any discrepancy, that is the age we can intervene and easily get them to the correction that we need.
Hmm. Okay.
With young girls, these days, young girls hit puberty as early as 9, 10. And this is commonly well known amongst layman that once a girl hits puberty, the growth doesn't happen much after that. The height stops to grow. So there is a little bit of understanding, but just taking that concept and applying it to jaw development, I think people could help understand that concept better, where by 9 or 10, if the girl's growth is complete, if we have to change the growth, which has to be slower process, it should at least start 2 to 3 years before the time when the growth is about to be finished.
Okay. Now, so let's say that Dr. Shah, someone's looking for an orthodontist, but they've never been to one. They don't know who to go to. What would be your most important piece of advice to this person so that they can find that orthodontist who is knowledgeable, has the experience, and can help them get the end result they're looking for?
I want to say, in this day and age where, Chat GPT
Mhm.
or all these AI platforms are out
Mhm.
there, definitely search, look into it, Google the questions that are coming to your mind. That itself should give them the answer that they need, that, okay, it's time to go see an orthodontist for a problem like that. And believe it or not, there is definitely more awareness amongst parents these days than it used to be a decade ago, just because of the ease of technology that's there at our disposal.
Mhm.
So one of the biggest resource is definitely that. Along with that is social media, look at which doctors are trying to create more awareness, would be definitely the ones who are more proactive and are ahead with the science and technology that's there in the world today.
Okay. And when it comes to the educational component to this, how do you approach educating your patients on the benefits of these treatments? Because I'm sure you get some people that come in and they have no idea, like, why am I even here? Like, what are you even looking at? Like, what does this treatment even mean? So how do you approach that educational part?
Our consultation when a patient comes to our office is an hour-long consultation. So we have an in-depth conversation. We take x-rays, pictures, put it on a big screen, and then with that we focus on showing them what is lacking, what needs to be changed, what are we looking at, and educating parent, patient, child, or adult, whoever it is that needs our services. We spend enough time with them to make them understand what they're looking at.
Okay. And what role do you believe creativity plays in how you approach your patient cares? I think when people think about medicine or even dentistry, I don't think creativity is a word that comes to mind. They're probably thinking, well, don't get creative with my teeth, just make them straight. But what role do you think creativity plays in what you do?
I would like to split that into two answers. One, we did a little, I did take a unique pathway to that. I have written a book, um, My First Visit to an Orthodontist, which is a book of a 6-year-old child talking about her anxiety and going to an orthodontist and overcoming the anxiety and smile, overcoming the anxiety with braces and ending up with a nice smile. So I take that book and we do a lot of school education programs to go to schools and educate kids. And we send educational material for parents to spread awareness on that regard. So that I definitely think is a little creative side on um, that I definitely think is a creative edge on our side where we've gone outside of our medical compass and tried to engage with our community one-on-one.
Mhm. Okay.
And on the other hand,
Mhm.
just again, spreading that awareness with our patients, even when they refer their friends and family to our office, they do that because they know we have gone above and beyond to answer their questions, to take care of their needs, and to get them to a point where we could help them in their smile journey.
Okay. Now, Dr. Shah, I'm sure that throughout your experience, you've had some maybe challenging cases you've worked on. I'm sure there's been some memorable cases as well. Is there maybe one story that comes to mind that you're able to share of one of those cases and how you were able to get them a great result in the end?
One of the stories that is very close to my heart is a young, handsome adult, a 32-year-old guy, nurse by profession, and because of his own background, he knew he had sleep apnea.
Mm.
His teeth were fairly straight,
Mhm.
so he was always startled, like, I don't have major dental issues. I don't have major crowding or spacing. My smile looks great. He also had Invisalign in the past and yet had sleep apnea. And so it was a unique it was a unique case for us as well, because in spite of teeth looking straight, when we studied the structure of the face and the jaws, we found out there is obstruction that we could help resolve. So we set this patient up. We worked closely with Penn Medicine Sleep Surgery Department with the ENT surgeons there. We set this patient up for a maxillomandibular advancement surgery, which means we pulled both upper and lower jaw forward and cleared the airway. And the best part about this story was the time when I saw him after surgery, when he said, I not only slept better, but for the first time in my life, I can remember the dream I had.
Hmm.
So
Wow.
that was the quality of sleep
Mhm.
that I could give to that patient, which is very close to my heart, that it was not only just smile change, it was really life changing.
Yeah, especially when you fix your sleep, then the entire quality of life's going to go up tremendously. So
Yeah.
you never would think it'd come from your teeth.
Yes.
Okay, now, Dr. Shah, where do you think the future of dentistry and orthodontics is going?
We are definitely going more and more towards preventive care. And I think that is the way to go, where with technology, with advancement, with science and research, we have so many resources at our disposal that we are able to detect problems sooner and sooner and sooner. So, if we can prevent it, why why not prevent it sooner than later?
Mm-hmm.
you know, Treat it before it becomes a problem. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's the future of dentistry, where the goal is going to be most of us having our natural teeth in harmonious position even as we grow old.
Mm. Okay. And when it comes to this, also talking about the future, the vision for your practice, what's the vision you have for your practice?
The vision for my practice is basically just growing to help the community, help as many people as I can in this journey, spread more awareness, bring more smiles to people around me. I think, each and every smile that I correct every single day helps me sleep with a peace of mind that I changed someone's life today. And that itself is just rewarding.
Mhm.
And that is what I took this profession for.
No, it's a good reason. Okay, well, Dr. Shah, I do have one last question for you, but before I ask it, I do want to point people to your website at artofsmilephiladelphia.com. Now, last question for you. What
Mhm.
does beauty mean to you?
Beauty to me is not just external beauty. Beauty to me is a harmony within the facial structures, within your teeth, with your eyes, with your cheek, with your hair, as well as with your soul and quality of life. So, beauty is not something that's just perceived by someone's eyes, it is something that is lived by a person.
Very well said. Well, there you have it, Dr. Shah sharing her expertise. So, Doctor, where can people contact you and your practice?
We are in South Philly, so you can reach us at our website, like you said, or you can reach us on our phone number, call us, follow us on our Instagram. You will find a lot of educational stories on our Instagram also. I am continuously striving to spread more and more awareness for my community. So we are here to help you when you need us.
Awesome. Well, Dr. Shah, this was great. Thank you for coming on and thank you for sharing your knowledge and expertise.
Thank you so much, Daniel. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening to the Beauty Talk podcast. Any questions, please contact the practice directly with the contact information provided during the show. We'll see you again next time. Bye for now.